Opus 95, Serioso, is its kind of unofficial title.
Yeah.
I say unofficial because Beethoven didn't title the quartet Serioso. We get that term from the third movement, which is indicated like Allegro non troppo ma serioso or something
Right.
like that. And people went, that's a cool word. Let's call the quartet that. But it's a really good descriptor of the piece, I would say. This is actually his shortest string quartet, which is fascinating, right? And Opus 95 depends on where your local music historian puts late versus middle Beethoven.
She's on the
This is kind of cuspy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I think most would say it's late Beethoven, but it's early late.
Early late.
Early late. Yeah. And so we can really see a good sampling, actually, of like middle period Beethoven in this piece. And middle period Beethoven, we develop a lot of gruffness, a lot of that like token grumpiness that I think often we kind of assume Beethoven is going to sound like. Another one would be the Fifth Symphony. Pum, 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 pum.
Yeah.
Pum, 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 pum. That energy of just something really forceful, really impactful.
The darkness.
The heroic, the grouchiness. Mm-hmm. This is what develops in the middle period.
Well, they're beginning in unison on this.
And they're beginning in unison in a really weird key also. F minor. F minor. In the world of classical style, you didn't use F minor if you didn't have a really good reason for it, because it's just the instruments don't resonate super well. It sounds harsh.
Well,
Beethoven goes, perfect.
Yes.
Yeah. So he puts us in this really terrible key to play in, right? And the gruffness is obvious from the beginning. Like you said, the entire quartet is shouting this original motive. And I say motive because try and convince me. I'm sorry, that's not a melody.
No.
It's a head motive. And that's fascinating. You remember the 18-3, we talked prototype melody.
He's just starting with like,
yeah, rap, like a barking dog. Yes. Yeah. Just like, whoa, your wig would have fallen off. Yeah.
Yes.
You're like, dude, what's wrong? Chill. Yeah.
I get it. So, and then what is all this? I mean, this is just...
It's a shaking of the fist. And my favorite thing, okay, viewers, you don't need to see visually what I'm about to say, but when you hear it, you're going to recognize it. We have 5 bars. That's an F minor. Look, instantly.
Cello.
And... we've got accidentals. We have G flats going on. He goes from F minor to G flat major.
Yes.
Without the remotest preparation other than a silence. Right? 18-3. Something harmonically weird is an anomaly that we should take note of. Fast forward to Opus 95. This is just what we do.
I get it.
This is just what we do.
Yes.
Jackhammer harmony. Like, boom! Welcome somewhere else.
Yes. And it's all very quick.
Right.
The changes are quicker. Is that...
This is Beethoven's shortest quartet. Right. Check that out. Right? He's using alarming compaction as a technique. And the entire piece follows that pattern. We hear it right here at the very beginning. This is going to be terse. This is going to be intense. This is going to move really fast. Buckle up.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And, and by this point, too, we're still sort of in a classical-ish style here. The second movement is beautiful and slow, and it definitely goes to some worlds, some places that he would not have done early in life. There's no doubt about that.
Really?
But the overall fact that a slow movement is coming after a really jiggly opening.
We're already in a different key here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So this is a little bit normal. Mm-hmm. Like he's still hanging on to the vestiges of the classical quartet. Like, we can still tell what he's doing is related to that.
It's kind of like he's like ripping the paint off of something. It's just like, you know what I mean? He's like thinking there's something underneath it all that he's trying to uncover. Maybe?
Well, this attitude of like, nah, to hell with it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do it. This is also where we remember we talked about like the psychology
Yeah.
and the music itself can no longer be separated. This is where we see that. Like, biographically, we know at this point he was almost completely deaf.
Really.
He had contemplated taking his own life already.
Yeah.
He'd been through catastrophically, financially and emotionally draining custody battle over his nephew who was being abused.
I remember that.
Right? So by this point, his life has kind of sucked in a variety of ways. And like, we know for a fact that his rationale for saying, no, I'm not ending my own life. I still have something. Like, this is a deaf composer pianist contemplating, what on earth is my point? What is my purpose? What is my function if I don't have my hearing? You can say, all right, I'm going to give up. Or you can say, okay,
we're going to get down
no
business.
holds barred.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's mess it up.
Yeah.
Like, if this is what I need to do in order to express myself, that's what's going to happen. We're not messing around. And this is the beginning of that psychology. It's not the beginning, but it's a version of that psychology that continues to evolve through his life.
I have an interesting thought on that, but so, I mean, I'm sure he was not pleased with the powers that be that allowed the deafness to happen. I'm betting this was a very injustice moment of like, why? But I'm wondering if he was just like, okay, if you're going to break me, I'm going to break this.
Yeah, or I'm going to pass that along. Yeah. And it was, and the intention, or at least the way that he wrote about it, and I feel confident in believing this because I hear it in his later music, is not so much, okay, I'm going to pass this abuse on to the world.
I don't mean it quite like that.
I know, yeah, but and that would be like a very extreme polarity response to it.
Yeah.
And at the other end is, through my suffering I shall create beauty.
Yes.
And my voice shall be honed. And he's living in like a not as angelic part of that side of the spectrum, I think, where it's like, I'm going to grapple with my struggle in order to create unrestricted beauty and expression.
Yes. So I guess I should rephrase. So almost like every spiritual awakening of sorts begins with darkness, is what I would say.
Maybe spiritual reckoning.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine
feels.
too. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like this is making some sense. Like, what I know about him is his life circumstances, and then this is the result. This is where he's putting all of that.
Yeah.
We didn't have therapy back then because they didn't have your local group that would help you with whatever. He just had what he had, and then used that. So I'm going to hear this in a different way.
Yeah, and think about being deaf and a grouch. That's a pretty isolated existence too. Like, not only do you not have therapy, but like, your connections to the world around you are very limited.
Yes.
And so much of what happens in your existence is happening here. And he found a way to channel it, to like spit it out somehow.
Yes.
And it's incredible. And like, you can tell he's pretty angry about it. Or at least that's an aspect of his life that he needs to figure out how to express.
Well, and it's obviously a testament to his extremely, his genius to be able to know that this is going to work and do what he wants it to do without hearing. Right? Incredibly.
Serious.
I mean, brave in a way.
And like, imaginative. Like, truly, like, his imagination of how something would sound had to have been so acute.
Yeah, so I'm saying he had to just had that interior, all those instruments had to have been part of him in every possible way, that he intimately knew exactly what they were doing in every moment when he was writing this. He had to know every beat, of course, and every moment.
Yeah. And I think totally speculatively. If he hadn't done all the weird things he did in the early quartets and early in life, he would not have had the toolbox to do what you're saying later in life. Like if you don't start to mess things up at a time when you can learn what that sounds like,
Yes.
then like how are you gonna do that when you can't hear? You
No,
know,
I
so
know what you're saying. It was
it's
almost like he knew he was short on time and had to figure it out, or at least get started.
yeah, and it's fascinating. He must have been a very intuitive person.
Yes, I realize there is a lot of speculation here, but still, it's not hard to grasp some of that emotional weight he
Mm,
carried.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And so the second movement is just gorgeous. He takes us on a harmonic journey that's very unusual. Um, things happening on the wrong beat. It's lyrical. But the most, I think, striking aspect of the second movement is the way it ends. It's marked attacca subito. Subito means suddenly. Attacca means continuously.
Okay.
Right? So this movement comes to a kind of like weird cliffhanger. Boom! Yamparada! Allegro assai vivace, ma serioso. Third movement. Right? This is Beethoven. I'm sure this wasn't the first time he did it, but where he's flowing between movements in a way like there's no pause. There's no pause between these movements. Where he's getting restless with the way that quartets are structured. He's saying this needs to be continuous. The way these movements have a stoppage between them is not working expressively. So this is a really cool turning point where he's actually blended these two movements together without stoppage.
Got it.
And it's like waking up in the middle of the night to someone dumping ice water on your face.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so and then you think, okay, this allegro assai vivace ma serioso, right? So allegro lively, assai very, vivace straight up fast, but serious. Okay. And you think, all right.
So a little aside there, is he one of the first ones who gave such complex direction like that?
He definitely is. This is not one of the more complex Beethovenian instructions, but it definitely is trending towards
more
a lot of information.
Yes.
Yeah. And he also, over his life, used a lot of words for the first time that we hadn't seen other composers use. Okay. My favorite is in Opus 130, so like fast forward. He uses the word beklemmt in the famous cavatina, which is this sense of like being so overcome that you just don't know what to say, but something has to be said. And it's such a descriptive word.
That's just incredibly profound itself, let alone hearing the music that goes along with it.
And go listen to it.
Yeah. 130?
130.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's incredible. It's incredible. And
so I didn't even notice that, but I mean, I just realized that, yeah, he does seem to be a little wordier than other things I've played. I mean, I haven't played everything, but
completely.
But he does kind of get a little more descriptive as he goes.
He's giving pretty clear expressive instructions here. And so then this third movement it's kind of rageful. It's tossed off. There's this beautiful middle section where we get this sort of serenity out of nowhere, like borderline apologetic, and then the gruffness comes back in. Usually. By that point, you sort of expect it, right?
Yeah, but that kind of makes sense. That seems to be his style.
Yeah, and the toggling back and forth is really intense.
With that whole spectrum, it seems. Yes.
Yeah. And another noteworthy thing here is like you would expect the third movement of a quartet to be like quicker, the jolly dance. Do you remember the dance that I sort of like blew off in 1803?
Yes.
It's like this is your chance to go to the bathroom and top off your glass sort of thing. There's typically not a lot of compositional lunacy happening there. But this is the titular movement of this quartet, where he gives you the most expressive information about the sensation of the way it should be in the third movement, not the first or the last.
Very cool. Another rule change.
a complete role change
Yes.
in the way these quartet movements sit. And it's fascinating. And then the last movement it contains one of the biggest surprises in Beethoven, right? It opens with this really like dark, grim kind of introduction.
Yeah.
Larghetto espressivo. You're this sort of emotionally wrought thing.
And
Then allegretto agitato. So like a lot of specificity in that language. Just sort of like breathless pirate music or something like that. And you think, okay, great, this movement is going to spiral to a close in a very exciting fashion. Boom, fireworks. And what does he do? He does that. Extremely intense, shouty music, but it doesn't spiral to a close there. It doesn't spiral to a close there. We get poco ritardando to 3 Ps.
I was going to say,
Pianissimo.
yes.
And then allegro in a major key. And we finish the piece in a really charming major key. It's like the whole piece has been this trick.
I was going to say, it's very confusing.
It's completely confusing. And it's over before you've processed the fact that you've just been tricked for like 19 minutes. It's like when I hear this, I almost get like a little bit annoyed with him. You know, you're like, really, dude? You took me on this Ferris wheel of intensity and like, right? Only, just kidding. And how him is that? Right? How him is that?
It is very him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, I mean, like the difficulty of the music,
or
like
tell.
The violin, for example. This is
tell.
concerto type writing.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
So just to kind of touch
and
back
we're
on that.
super high again.
Yeah, and it's, you know, we are flying through it. So he's also piquing the virtuosity that's expected of the instruments.
That is so interesting because I mean, I've obviously listened to music, but this changes the landscape for me. I mean, I've just never really, I don't know. I will probably start practicing looking at the scores myself anyway, because as a musician, what I'm happy about is, I mean, you're kind of giving me a primer here, but I'll be able to take those, you know, this sort of this outline of how to look at it. It won't be identical, of course, but at least I've got some of the sense of how you're reading it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
I can do my own too.
Exactly, and that's the most important thing. Is like my way of looking at it, or the things that I pick up and observe, are a few of many things to pick up and observe, or ways to hear it. And that's what's so cool about music that has this much detail and dimension.
Yes, and listeners can do the same if they want. I mean,
should.
Absolutely.
If you don't, you're being lazy.